The Knicks have just confirmed a major change for next season. For weeks now, we have been speculating if the Knicks will go small with this roster, given their lack of depth at the center position. And Tom Thibodeau has just spoken out and confirmed that the Knicks will be going small next season. We're going to break down these latest reports and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. The Knicks head coach confirms a major change for next season. For weeks, we have all been wondering, given the fact that Mitchell Robinson could miss the start of the regular season, and the only two backing him up after that is Preston Chua and Jericho Sims, you had to wonder, what were the Knicks going to do to address the center position? And a lot of NBA insiders, myself and you guys included, speculated that the Knicks potentially could go small, could use Randle or OG at that position. But if they did that, it would be going against what Tom Thibodeau naturally does. Because if you know anything about Thibs, normally when he plays five out there, he likes to have one traditional center out there to block shots, grab rebounds, and be a defensive force for the Knicks. However, you can make the argument that in years past, Tom Thibodeau has never had the roster to allow him to go small. But this year, this time, with the roster that Leon Rose and this Knicks front office has created, Tom Thibodeau finally has an excuse to go small. And according to Thibs, when he did a sit-down interview with NBA.com, he basically confirmed that exact point. Shout out to NBA.com for giving us the following interview and information. They asked Tom Thibodeau the following question: what do you hope to carry over from last year's playoff exposure to this season? And this was Thibs' response. Obviously, the OG signing was huge for us, and then adding Mikal was phenomenal. Getting Julius Randle back will be huge as well. We lost Isaiah Hartenstein, which is what we'll have to replace. But I think we have versatility where we can play smaller at times because of OG's ability to guard big. Julius and Josh Hart can guard big as well. Thibodeau further confirms the fact that the Knicks will go small next season when he answered the following question from NBA.com. They asked him, how do you begin to replace Hartenstein, the 7-footer who was so valuable for stepping in for injured Mitchell Robinson, who signed as a free agent with the Thunder in July? This was Tom Thibodeau's response. We'll probably have to do it by committee. We'll look at some different things because we have versatility. We could see Julius more at the 5. I don't want to do that for long stretches. It would take its toll. But to have him do it for 10 or 15 minutes, I think he can do it well. He also would create a lot of offensive advantages. We don't have to speculate anymore. The head coach, Tom Thibodeau, just confirmed the Knicks will absolutely be going small, likely with a combination of Julius Randle and OG Anunoby at the 5 spot. But if you noticed, he said even with Randle and the fact that him playing the 5 would create some great offensive matchups and he could take great advantage of them, he doesn't want to do it for long stretches because it could take its toll. That tells me a lot. It tells me that while Julius Randle could play that role, he could play that position, Tom Thibodeau already knows he's coming back from an injury. Why would you put somebody coming off of a shoulder surgery as your starting center or any type of center on your roster when you don't have to? Because unnecessarily, they're going to have to take contact to that shoulder, and potentially they could risk injuring that shoulder even further. Tom Thibodeau knows that, and he does not want to take the risk. He understands it. He can do it for short bursts. 10 or 15 minutes, no problem. He can handle that. But if you're talking about for a full quarter or 2 full quarters each and every night, that is not going to happen because Tom Thibodeau already knows you can't push Julius Randle to that level, especially not early on. You have to let him work his way back into his game, get his feet back underneath him, and make sure he understands his role and the chemistry with this team. You got to remember, this team is very different than the team he left in January. We now have Mikal Bridges starting with him. OG Anunoby, even though he was looking good with him in January, he's going to be starting with him to start off the season. That has never happened before. Jalen Brunson was coming into his own in January, but now it's official. This is his team. But thanks to Ian Begley, we already know, regardless of the role that Julius Randle is asked to play for this team, he is going to do it with a smile on his face. And that's exactly what you want to see from your three-time All-Star. So if he needs to play center, if Tom Thibodeau needs him to play center because Mitchell Robinson's out, he's injured, he's sick, we need somebody else at that position because Precious or Jericho is not getting it done, then Tom Thibodeau is going to put Randle in that position for about 10 or 15 minutes each and every game, and hopefully Randle can hold it down, and I think he can, especially if Tom Thibodeau switches OG and Randle at that position. If OG plays center on the defensive end and Randle plays center on the offensive end, I think it can work. I think it can work for 10 to 15 minutes, and I also think that the Knicks would take full advantage of any team they were throwing that against. Because even though it does have some disadvantages from time to time, you're talking about OG Anunoby, who can guard 1 through 5. And we're talking about 1 through 5 at an elite level. And then Julius Randle, at his size, the way he can go down low and bang down low. And when he's going full force, he's almost unstoppable. Him as your 5 is going to throw a lot of other people off. It's going to throw a lot of other centers off. They're not going to be able to understand how to deal with that physicality. So yes, it creates a lot of offensive advantages that Julius Randle will look to use next season if and when he's put in that position. But Randle at the 5 on offense makes a lot of sense. Not for a full quarter, not for 2 full quarters, but for short bursts. I like the idea of that, especially if OG Anunoby is going to cover him on the defensive end. That's the only way it's going to work and the only way I would want Tom Thibodeau to utilize it. But let's go back to Tom Thibodeau here. The fact that he's actually saying he's going to go small because of the roster that they have right now, and that's the only way they're going to be able to make up for losing Isaiah Hartenstein, that is something I never thought Tom Thibodeau was going to admit or say. And it's something that has me extremely excited for next season. We all thought that Tom Thibodeau would not be able to change his ways, not be able to adapt. Now we're hearing before the season even begins that he's willing to make changes to his already traditional type of lineups, where he's going to go small at times. And for me, I love to hear it. Tom Thibodeau explains here why the league has shifted and potentially why his mindset on going small has shifted as well too. According to Tom Thibodeau, he states the following: I think the league overall has shifted. Your 2s, 3s, and 4s are more wing-oriented now. Guys who can guard 4 positions, or in some cases, we've got guys who can guard all 5, like OG Anunoby after all, allow you to do a lot more switching. And if there's a rebounding component to that, you're not sacrificing your defense. You're turning your opponent into a more isolation type of team, where they're working against the clock and settling, hopefully, for long mid-range shots. I love that answer from Tom Thibodeau because it tells me he understands his roster fully and he understands who's on it. OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges are going to be the best wing defensive duo in the entire league. Their penetration defense is going to be out of this world. So Tom Thibodeau saying that hopefully the Knicks can keep the opposition at long mid-range shots, he's saying that because he knows OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges will absolutely be able to do that. And if they're even able to get into the paint, who's going to be waiting for them? Likely Mitchell Robinson. And he's going to get rebounds and block shots like nobody's business. But if he's not there and Julius Randle's playing center at that point in time, I have full faith in Randle to do whatever it takes to make sure he puts a body in front of that player. He makes sure he makes it difficult on that player. And that's all you can expect from Julius Randle at this point in time, especially when he's coming off of this type of injury. I'm not saying he's not going to be the greatest defender in the world. I think he's going to give a lot of effort, especially because of the roster he's on. It's just by association. When you play on a roster that's going to be this good on defense as the Knicks are projected to be, Julius Randle being part of that, being associated with that, is going to make him a better defender as part of that process. Wait and see. But even if he's not the greatest defender, in terms of his offense, Any fives in the league would be scared of Julius Randle playing the five, especially if he's coming down low on offense, because he's just unstoppable. And that's some of the things the Knicks are going to be able to give you next season under head coach Tom Thibodeau. I never thought I would say this. I never thought we would be able to get something like this for consistent minutes at any point in time under head coach Tom Thibodeau. But now we know small ball under the Knicks is going to happen next season. And who's going to be playing the center position at that point in time? It's going to be a combination between Julius Randle and OG Anunoby. Likely a lot more of Randle, though. But even if we see that, according to Tom Thibodeau, he's not going to do it for long stretches, 10 to 15 minutes at most, because he understands it takes its toll on anybody playing that position, especially if their natural position is a power forward and not a center. It's different physicality at each level, and Thibs understands that. I'm seeing things in my Knick lifetime that I thought I would never see. We have a competent front office led by our leader over there in Leon Rose. Amazing work he's done. But now we're seeing Tom Thibodeau adapt even more, change even more, and do things that we only hoped, dreamed were possible. But now they're becoming reality. OG playing the five, Randle playing the five at stretches under head coach Tom Thibodeau was all fiction about a couple of months ago. But after this interview, it has all come full circle, and it's now reality. And that makes me even more hype, even more excited for next season. I thought the Knicks were going to be good as ever next season. But now, because of their ability to adapt and change and switch, and Tom Thibodeau leaning into that, who knows how far they could go. I can't wait to see how all of this looks when it's out there on the court. But until then, I'm going to be patient and wait until preseason, which, by the way, is only a few weeks away. But what about you guys? What do you think about the following information from Tom Thibodeau confirming that the Knicks will absolutely be going small next season, and the center playing that position will either be Julius Randle or OG Anunoby? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans. Peace.